I think that a lot of humans in America, at least, identify as their job. And we're in a time that that's going to change for a lot of people. And it's not their choice that it changed. This is kind of a rug pull identity death. And I know a lot about having to change your identity as who you are as a human because of something that happened to you. It feels like death. If you can accept a new identity and act as that identity, then it's the super hack to become anything you want to be super fast. August, I had never done comedy in my life. I made the decision of how can I test this concept? You know, I started in August 8th, actually, and I've done over 100 mics in that time. So I think the concept works.
All right, Ken, you know the drill. You have a podcast. How many episodes have you done on your podcast?
Oh, I think over 500.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's been a while. We took a year off, but yeah, I think we're just really close to 500 episodes, if not just over.
Yes. I mean, most podcasts don't get past like episode 9. So that's good. I think we're at like over 100 something, and I'm happy to have you here to chat about what you got going 10%. On. I know, 10%. Yeah, it's right. It's not a very high bar though.
It is. It's a huge bar. There's millions of podcasts.
You think so? Like getting past like episode 9, 10?
No, I mean, there's hundreds of millions of people that started, but they didn't have the discipline to keep going. So if it's not a high bar, I mean, you beat most people.
All right. I like it. You're
the gap between really good and great is bigger than the gap of just getting started and getting there, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, you've done a podcast. It's been successful. I was checking it out before you hopped on. Over 500 episodes. Most people don't get it past episode 9. Now you're coming on other people's podcasts. What you got going on that you want to share to other people's audiences that you're scratching that itch?
Yeah, right now, if it's 2026, it's the weirdest year of my life, and I'm 50, right? I've lived through a lot of different challenges on planet Earth. And, I feel like this is a little bit more than just an old man with a white beard talking nonsense about the world's changing. It's changing in pretty significant ways with AI and robotics and, the new wars that we appear to be in. And, we're in a power race across the planet. We're going back to coal and back to fossil fuels while we're also racing for the uranium play and nuclear power. So it's really crazy. We're in a crazy time. My biggest advice to people is start playing with AI. Start understanding how you can play with it. My best advice is I came up with a framework called ideasframework.com. And it's just how you can interact with AIs in a way that's beneficial to you. It's really designed for people that are nonlinear and linear thinkers. So the neurodivergent people and the neurotypical people can use AI in different ways to help them cross platforms to either way. But just get in there and start using it and playing with it in a way that hopefully sparks your passions in life and helps you execute those passions at a higher level than you could have ever done before, because you're not really great at accounting, but you now have an accountant that you can lean on. But, or you're a great musician, but you can never find a good artist to do your record labels, your covers properly. So you're missing that artist. Or you're a great writer, but you're not a good artist to draw, right? You can now create your own art and support from these other modalities in a way that you've never been able to do before and at a wildly affordable rate.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like you just jumped into it. I mean, AI, language learning models been around for a while, but now they are officially in the hands of the world. What were you doing prior to that with your business and entrepreneurship? Because I know you took a different path than the majority take.
Yeah, I've dabbled in a lot of things. My most significant business, and this just happens to be a very interesting time for this industry. In 1999, I left the entertainment industry and I went into IT. I went to journalism school and broadcast radio school. That's what I went to college for. And I love that industry. But in 1999, that was a hectic world. And internet was this brand new booming thing. And I got a job with an internet company selling DSL in 1999. I took a little break from the entertainment world and I fell in love with web hosting. And by 2001, I was a co-founder of a company called Hosterian, and Hosterian grew to be the largest data center provider in the St. Louis metro area, privately held. We won largest data center, beat top 3 with AT&T here in St. Louis, Missouri for several years. I would say, we didn't really know what we were doing. Like we were trying to serve things on the internet, and the companies around weren't able to support us. So, when we were building, programming new websites and doing creative stuff on the internet, to go to AT&T or some of those guys to host it was just outrageous. So we're like, well, I'm super fortunate to have been misdiagnosed as a young child and put in the special school district, because what that did for me is my mom was an advocate for me to learn however it was beneficial to me. And that put me on a keyboard at the age of 7. So I've been working with computers as my communication liaison between neurotypical people that understand language in a way that I don't my entire life. Right. And so that put me at a high IQ for computer technician and building those kinds of infrastructures when those kind of infrastructures didn't exist, right? Data centers weren't a thing in 1999. They were computer rooms, right? So we were building computer rooms to host websites for people to do cool stuff like, see how hot the other person was and rate them 1 out of 10, very narcissistic, or do some online fantasy sports games, do silly games for, back when the internet was new, it was the Wild West. We did all kinds of crazy stuff. We just silly games that people played online and, trying to make this thing, get it off the ground and make it work. And it was pretty successful. Yeah.
When you said keyboard and then you mentioned you were in the entertainment industry, I thought you might say like you played piano or something. Tell me about this entertainment industry.
So I went to Broadcast Center for broadcast radio and TV editing, television. Mm-hmm. Then I went to Washington University for a year for journalism. After that, I was a cameraman for a long time. And I loved that job. I was a cameraman for the Jumbotron at the Kiel Center. If you know what the Jumbotron is, it's the giant TV in the center of a theater. And the Kiel Center is now called the Enterprise Center, right? So it was where the Blues played hockey, a lot of sports like that. So I was a cameraman for them, for the Jumbotron. And I got in a really bad accident. I don't talk about this very much. I got hit by an 18-wheeler and fractured my skull and fused some discs in my back, dislocated my shoulders. And so I was 18 months in rehab at the age of 20, just graduated school, working at the Jumbotron. So I couldn't carry my camera anymore. So they retrained me into management. So I got to do some directing and things like that. Then I got the opportunity to be a stage manager for a record label called Suburban Noise. And I toured the country with them for a little while until 1999. And I came home and started the IT industry.
Got hit by an 18-wheeler. That's like walking in a car?
No, I was in a car. It was in a construction zone. I was going 10. He had fallen asleep. He was going 80. And he rear-ended me and it threw me from the vehicle.
Well, it's kind of crazy how that killed the dream of being a cameraman and then led you to probably a better dream than what you... Definitely different outcome, right? But it was challenging, right? I really, really enjoyed being a cameraman. I loved shooting video, especially live action. I didn't care for much for like the film stuff, but live action video was in my wheelhouse. It was my jam. It was fun. Capturing the shot, right? Being on the floor with all the action was just so much fun. But again, a tragedy in my life led me to other opportunities. Like that's how I got my first announcing gig. Because I couldn't hold the camera, but I knew the games and stuff, right? I knew the camera positions and I could speak that language. I got to be the assistant production manager for a production called the St. Louis Stampede. It was arena football. I know about arena football.
Yeah, it was so much fun. It was stupid, but it was fun. And the announcer didn't show up one day. And my job was sitting next to the announcer, cueing him his cues, and he wasn't there. So they asked me, Ken, can you be the announcer for this? And I said, well, heck yes, I can. And that was the first time that I got to announce for a crowd of, I think it sounded like 25,000. I think like 12,000 people would show up to those games. So the anxiety of putting on a microphone and talking to 12,000 people live is a little different than most things people will experience in their life.
That's so cool, though.
It's amazing.
You have to be careful what you say, though. You might get too excited.
I got to yell touchdown Stampede very, very loud. And that was my favorite thing. And I was really good at it. And I could pull that touchdown out for a good 30 seconds to a minute if I wanted to. But so just good fun.
Yeah. So you got thrown into it, kind of like reminded me of the story of, not saying that you're like Vince McMahon, but when he was like growing up with his dad, the announcer wanted more money and his dad decided he didn't want to pay him. He's like, go announce. And then, he learned to communicate and be that conduit between yourself, the game, and the audience, and to like help bring the whole, it's basically like a theater production. Like you got the actors and people on the field, and then you got the person narrating it. And then you got the audience to like bring it all together.
Absolutely. And I'll say, having a really solid producer changes that role dramatically. It's a challenging role. A great producer and a director helps it makes that job easy. But those are hard to find.
Yeah, I mean, you went from basically being behind the camera to on the microphone. How was that for you? Are you like a more introverted kind of guy? Was it like easy? Like, did you have to go to a place you didn't think you can go?
I find it easier to talk to 12,000 people than to 12.
I'm the same way. If you're on stage talking to 4 people, it's challenging. There's 12,000. You just look in a direction and you make eye contact with 7 people by accident.
Yeah, it's a different world, right? And you can play that stage a bunch of different ways. I love being on the stage. I try to get on stage as frequently as possible. I probably do.
Do you do comedy or something? Did I see you do comedy?
I do comedy as well.
Okay.
It is a stress reliever for me.
Are you going to go on Kill Tony?
Journalism. Excuse me?
Going to go on Kill Tony?
No, I'm not a 1-minute guy. I'm a storyteller, little silly motivation. I have a belief about humanity at our current state. And I think that a lot of humans in America, at least, identify as their job. And we're in a time that's going to change for a lot of people. And it's not their choice that it changed, right? So this is kind of a rug pull identity death. And I know a lot about having to change your identity as who you are as a human because of something that happened to you. It feels like death. And a lot of people are going to go through it and they're going to resist and it's not going to be great. So in August, I went on this journey to, experiment. I had some theories and some things that I did in my coaching at my boxing school and some other things and myself with my recovery consulting clients, right? That if you can accept a new identity and act as that identity, then it's the super hack to become anything you want to be super fast, right? But you have to accept it, create core values, and just do the actions that identity does. And if you do those things, it's like a hack and happens really fast. So in August, I had never done comedy in my life. I made the decision of how can I test this concept of put a title on, create core values, and execute at your highest ability. Can you really do it? And, I started in August 8th, actually, published. And
like 7 months ago?
Yeah. And I've done over 100 mics in that time. And I was flown down to Orlando, Florida to do a set with Paul Vado from Reno 911 for the Podfest this year in January. So I think the concept works. So then I wrote the book, loadingidentity.com, which is the step-by-step every day, the things that I went through, right? The good, the bad, the ugly. It's raw. It's there. And right now that's free for anybody right now until August 8th of 2026. You can go download it and it's totally free, the audio version and everything right now, with just tips and tricks and tactics to accept the rug pull on your identity. Oh, I'm not a lawyer anymore. Oh, I'm not a driver anymore. Oh, I'm not a Teamster anymore. Oh, I'm not, whatever robot took my job this year. That's not who I am anymore. I have to figure out something different. And then what I'm praying humanity does is finds their passions and uses these tools to execute on their passions instead of soaking in the bottom half of this K that we're going to hit on this weird K economy that's coming.
I'm trying to think. I have a theory about your comedy. I still want to learn about this comedy because I want to learn about the person.
Okay.
You said you have like interesting theories. What comedian would you say you're like most like? Do you have like a favorite that you resonate with? I have an idea, kinda, because based off what you said, but I want to hear where I could say it first. I don't care.
I have a lot, right?
A hodgepodge. Kevin
Hart, Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy. Those are the guys, the storytellers. Chris Rock. These are the guys that I like. The storytellings, the long productions, callbacks, talking about their life and their story and making it relevant to mankind as a whole.
Yeah. When you said mankind, I thought George Carlin, like immediately.
Oh, yeah. I love George Carlin. I love him, but I forget about him frequently, unfortunately.
Yeah, he's like mainstream, but not mainstream.
The name, right. I think in my head, I confuse him with Bob Ross.
The artist?
Yeah. I don't know why. Old hippies talking shit and mellow.
Yeah. So you're doing a lot of different things here. And then you also have a company. What is that? InLink?
InLink is part of the Hosterian brand. It's under that hosting platform. Hosterian has a lot of services, data center, dedicated servers, virtual servers, web hosting and stuff like that. And InLink is a brand that we have that does communications for small to medium sized business, brick and mortar companies that don't want to be with the big guys. But even that's moving more towards an AI play very, very shortly here.
So you've adopted AI. What have you come up with that maybe an idea you had in your brain, like let's just say back in the past that you couldn't do that you've been able to incorporate with AI? Because I look at it as if you have an idea and you don't know how to do it, you can literally just click the microphone and just talk
Yeah.
and submit, and it will at least get you on the path.
And that's what the ideas framework is all about. So ideas framework coupled with my identity work, I think AI is a superpower, right? Loading identity is my story on how I loaded the comedian identity using AI as my assistant. Right. So these are my stories. They're my punchlines and everything else. But I use AI as my assistant on a regular basis, on reaching out to venues, on helping me created a project, said, hey, if you were Eddie Murphy, Kevin Hart, all these comedians, and you were going to be my coach for comedy, right? What would you tell me on this bit? And use it that way. And, Henry Ford taught us that you don't have to be the expert in every discipline of your business. And AI has given us an expert in every other discipline, and we get to work on the thing that we're most passionate about, right?
Yeah. I mean,
that is a profound movement.
Yeah, I've created, I don't know how many GPTs. I have a bunch of little, and then sometimes I need to hit Control, Shift at, call in another one, be like, what do you think of this too?
Yes.
It's pretty crazy. It's pretty cool. And if you're not using it, you're basically going to be like someone who still has like a flip phone and attempt to function in society.
Yes. And for some stuff, it's really amazing. And as we get into real-time reference or inference with wearables over the next couple of years, the profoundness that we're getting ready to deal with at a very minimal level today, right? A nonlinear thinker versus a linear thinker consistently have issues, right, with communication. If we have a meeting on Wednesday and we push it back 2 days, is that Tuesday? Is that not Monday or is it Friday, right? A nonlinear thinker is going to say it's always Friday, and a linear thinker might think it's Monday. They can push it back and forth. As your AIs know you better, they can help you with those kinds of miscommunications and how to narrow them down and be better communicators with each other. We're living in a world of fear and ego for the past couple hundred years at least, for good reason, right? We had scarcity, and communication was hard and language was hard. And there's a consequence to every word you say. And the same word might mean 10 different things. So how do you know? And AI can be a tool to help us not just translate one language to another, literally English to English, different dialects and stuff like that, so that we can literally communicate with our people around us in a way that they understand us, which will drop all kinds of conflict and let us lead from spirituality and love instead of fear and ego.
Yeah. I mean, most people just don't take the time to see where someone's coming from, or if you don't understand, they say, oh, I understand. It's like, well, what do you mean by that? Or can you say that in a different way? I mean, just asking a couple of different questions, you could take something that, maybe you think someone's coming at you like a negative way. Get on this podcast. I sent you 2 links. You went to one link. I went to go on the other link. I was just like, hey, I'm sorry. Here's the other link. You're send it in the chat. Was it the most seamless podcast scheduling ever? No, but I do that so we have a backup plan in case Riverside sucks, or if Zoom sucks, we got Riverside, because I've learned that I have plan A and plan B. I don't have a plan C yet, but I haven't had to go to plan C. I guess plan C would be FaceTime, and I screen record the whole thing.
Yeah, but some people can take, you can take that as a bunch of different ways, right? And I'm taking it as, hey, you were scheduling with my assistant, and there was somewhere along that line, the ball got dropped. Another person, this guy's a dummy. He just did me the wrong link, right?
Well, that's why I was waiting in that link. I went to that link too, just in case he popped up there.
It's I get to choose how I'm going to interpret what your intention was. And if I assume your intention was positive, then we'll have a positive relationship. If I assume that this mess up was intentional or some negative mean to me or in my way, then we're not going to have a good relationship, right? But unfortunately, we do that. Lots of people make the assumption when something goes wrong that there was a negative intent behind that collapse of agreement.
If someone doesn't show up to a podcast, I just record a long form video by myself, have a little soliloquy, and then make be like, all right, I made something today. I had a conversation with myself. I mean, that's what I do. And it happens. You show up, someone just doesn't show up.
It does happen, unfortunately.
And you never hear from them again. But I've learned that it's all for a good reason. It's like, okay, well, I can go walk outside now, or I could go do some push-ups, or I could film a video, or I can just go back to doing what I was doing. Versus like, oh man, this person didn't show up to the podcast. What a jerk. They don't respect me. I don't even know you.
So far in my life, the negative things that have happened to me have always led to something positive on the other side of it. If I just worked the problem, got to the other side of it, there was always something better for me waiting on the other side of than was there when the negative things started, right? So it's always just this blooming effect.
Yeah.
All transitions are bumpy.
Yeah. I read this book every year, at least once a year, sometimes twice a year, 3 times if it's a weird year. And it just talks about how everything is good. So no matter what happens, everything is good, and it's happening for some sort of better reason. It's like, you have a business. Someone steals money from you from your business, that sucks, but you're going to lose that money anyway, or it's protecting you from something even bigger versus people, turn into what I was telling my wife the other day, you can't see your reflection in boiling water, something like that.
Yeah. It's horrible. I was in Costa Rica last week, and I was flying home, and I got at Houston's airport. I was supposed to have a 3-hour layover, but my plane weather happened, and the plane we didn't leave until about 3 a.m. We were supposed to leave at 7 p.m. and we didn't leave till 3 a.m. And I was standing there, and there was a guy, obviously been drinking a little bit, 40 years old, because he told me 10 times about the trauma in his life, right? And how ridiculous this was and all these things. And, I just kept, every time this would happen, I would just say, man, I'm here and I'm choosing to be happy. And I'd put my headphones on and smile and listen to some music. Right. And I had a pretty good 8-hour goofing off at the airport and eating pizza and walking around and meeting people. And this guy had a miserable 8 hours sitting there waiting for it. And that was our choices, right? Those are just based on the choices that we made on how to deal with the negative thing that we're looking at in front of us. So you get to choose. And I choose not to be pissy.
Yeah, but that's a developed skill. And you have to accept it. You have to have radical acceptance.
I don't disagree with you, but I also know people that innately have it.
Those people aren't real. That's how I look at those people. I'm like, there's no way you're that happy all the time. And I see them when they're not happy. It's like, up here or down here, behind closed doors, you have a friend's wife. She's always smiling, always happy. Man, his wife's so happy. I'm like, there's no way she's always that happy.
I think there's a difference between happiness and peace, right? And I think it comes down to your general thought process on how things will happen. If you think generally things will work out for you, then you can live a pretty happy, peaceful life. If you think generally things don't work out for you, then you're going to have a pretty poor life.
Yeah, it's all about perspective. People complain a lot about nothing versus you go back to, I've been having trouble sleeping. So I've been listening to boring history about the Great Depression and you listen to it at 0.75 speed and listening to those stories, I'm laying there, I can't sleep. I'm like, at least I have a couch. I don't think those people had couches.
No,
they didn't have anything.
No,
they were reusing coffee grounds. They're like, how far could a nickel go?
Yeah. I was just in Costa Rica where there's millionaires and billionaires and then total poverty, right? Third world country. And the people there are happy. They have food. They have beautiful weather. What else do you need?
Not much.
You want the car, but I think we're going to see a time. People,
I hate driving so much. I don't want
the governments, if the governments were here for us, everything would be free already. So they're there for themselves and they're not here for us at all. If they wanted it to be different, it could be different.
But it's not.
But it's not. So they're not here for us. So we got to be here for each other.
And that's why there's people like you in the world that create things and do things, because you can't rely on other people to do things. And now everyone pretty much for how much is ChatGPT, $60 a month, $2 a day?
Free. It's free now.
Oh, I pay for it. Maybe I shouldn't pay for it, but I do.
I can't tell the difference anymore.
Maybe it's because I have a workspace.
$200 a month ChatGPT and the free one, other than API access for just general use. I can't tell the difference anymore.
It's crazy. Yeah. Basically you can learn anything you want. It's right there. You just got to know how to talk to it. But I think probably what holds people back is questions, knowing how to ask questions and dive deeper.
Screw your prompts, man. Throw them away. Turn on your microphone and just talk about your day and then give it to the AI. See what comes out.
Yeah. I mean, people talk
And
about
like,
it a lot.
what should I do with this brain dump? And then from there, you can reiterate and move on, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's no need really for secretaries anymore or to take notes. The one thing that I like stumbled across, I don't know if I mentioned like Vince McMahon earlier. I've been watching like a lot of wrestling documentaries because I think they're interesting, like learning about how like a person evolves and how their character evolves over time. The one I was watching was Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah.
And he was doing like a promo and he was talking about basically I'm not going to do it because I can't do it justice. Basically just as, and a computer took your job. That's hard times. And now this is the 80s. Now we're here 40, 50 years later and the same thing's happening. Now AI took your job. Now a refrigerator took the Iceman's job. Now there's no milkman. You know, there's no horse and carriage drivers. Well, maybe in Central Park and other cool places, but not as many. Like, I mean, it's been happening. It's just, I don't know. People always complain about something, and that goes back to your way of looking. It's like, well, are you actually doing a job that you like? Or you can learn AI and maybe do something that you work half the time and make the same amount of money.
Yeah. Humans have some unique issues that are going to prevent fast utopia. The biggest one that humans have a problem with after losing their identity is sunk costs. The investments that they made in their gas vehicles, that they traded their family time. They traded time with their daughter to have this vehicle, right? Regardless if they think that consciously or not, subconsciously, that's in their head. This vehicle is valuable to me because I traded part of my life for it. And I hold a lot of pride in it. So is it a better life if we just got rid of all cars and moved to all self-driving cars? Absolutely. Will we do it? No, because I would love my gas guzzler. Should we, if we can do all lab grown meat, should we eat it so we don't have to kill the chickens and the cows? Yeah. Are we gonna? No, because I believe that I have to eat meat and I have to eat this kind of, this meat. But at the end of the day, it's molecularly the same thing, right? It's not, it's science. It's not magic.
Well, it's funny how caveman had no cavities.
I don't know that to be true, but okay. I'm not a paleontologist.
Me neither, but I read it on the internet, so it must be true.
It's got to be true.
60% of the time, every time it's true.
Yeah.
So
it's just a wild thing that you can use these tools today to do anything you want to do. If you want to start gardening, right? I've got a friend that wanted to start playing guitar and he's out doing gigs right now. Another thing that I think people need to really be thinking about moving forward is that human provenance is going to become more valuable. The fact, if you can bridge the gap between technology and real life, and you can get in front of people in real life and you can prove that you're a real person, I think that increases your value online as well, right? Even if the online version of you is not 100% you all the time, it still raises that AI version of you stock.
Yeah.
Because you can tie it to a real world event. You can go to a book signing. You can go to a comedy show. You can go to a music event. You can go to a touring hot dog truck, right? And I think that, if you wanted to start a grilled cheese company tomorrow, you could do that using AI because you have a marketing team, you got an accounting team, you've got all of these things at your disposal to run with. And the big guys are always going to employ people to try to get the advantage over the other side. That's always going to happen.
Yeah. It's just, you said grilled cheese, and it was our anniversary the other day. We actually went to a grilled cheese restaurant that made only grilled cheese and homemade tomato soup. So I got distracted for a second. But what were you saying? Human experience. Yeah. So it reminded me, like when Twitter first came out, my wife was telling me there was this girl and apparently she got a big Twitter following. She was so cool on the internet. Then they met her in real life. They're like, wow, she's way cooler on the internet. So how people got to realize, if you create a character. So back to wrestling, Hulk Hogan was a character. It wasn't actually how he acted. You have to perform that. So you have to choose, are you going to be this character or are you going to be the real person? And how do you go through that?
Yeah, that's what loading identity is all about.
Yeah.
Right? How do I deal with these? And then, as an autistic man, it can get confusing, right? Because autistics are really good at changing their identity based on the room that they're in, the people that they're with. right? And it's easy to get lost in that world if you don't have a good grasp of it and have a good idea of who you are. And there's tools to help you do that, right? I like to think of myself as a great coach, but I also have some of the greatest coaches in the world that I deploy for my own benefit. And they all say the same things at the core, right? Here's some tactics to, convince yourself or continue the neuro programming in your mind to create that neuroplasticity to change your perspective of how the world's looking. And it's absolutely true. If you're looking for negative, you'll find negative. If you're looking for positive, you'll find positive. The negative will always come and the positive will always come if you're looking for nothing. But,
Well, I always thought like in math, like 2 negatives make a positive. So how do you look at that? So, I mean, are you doing coaching? You have coaches? Like, I know you do.
Yeah, I do some coaching. I'm going to have to stop right for a little bit. I'm booked up through May and June right now, but the world's changing quite a bit, and it's been great for me because I get to travel all over the world now and do really, really cool projects. So, we're working on the jobs that I really love working on are saving a company a lot of money off of third-party software, right? They have HubSpot's a huge one. I'm paying $100,000 or $200,000 a year for HubSpot with all my, people, and we can go in and write your own back office for you in a reasonable amount of time, right? Like I'm going to do one in April. It's going to take me 3 weeks, but we're going to go in and revamp their entire back office solution. But it's going to be 3 weeks and they're going to get rid of, $500,000 in software and replace it with about $50,000 in infrastructure.
So like setting a foundation versus being stuck in a recurring revenue model where a different company holds all the cards versus now you're leveling the playing field. And it's interesting you bring that up because I've been looking at like a lot of investments and now you have to like I stole it from Charlie Munger. Basically, it's like you look at anything, you say, how would I destroy this? You start there. And then if you can, then you see if it's a good idea. Like, I'm looking at this. How would I destroy this? I mean, from the outside looking at someone can look at it as like a negative, but when you're like looking at investment or time or anything else, like you have to look at like the flip side of everything, like the opposite.
Yeah. Actually, how do I destroy this is a great disruptive technology mindset. Not one that I generally use. I'm a little flippant in life. I like to do the things that I like to do. This is why I'm not really employable by other people. I have to kind of build my own stuff in my own way. And I find a lot of joy in that. So yeah, it's a crazy world. We're going to see lots of branches, I think, over the next 10 years.
So it sounds like your book's solid now, but there was probably a point where you couldn't get anyone to talk to you. How is that like full circle moment now? Are you like, man, I'm glad I have all this? Or is there sometimes you're like, man, I need a break? Like, what's that like? Because I have 2 small kids. So I've blocked out like most of my calendar. Like I'll only take like 1 meeting a day at the most, just because that's all I want to do. Well,
unfortunately, I'm fortunate enough to have already separated from my wife, and my daughter's 19 in college. So that's, the typical 19-year-old and father relationship.
Oh, I've heard about it.
Yeah. My son and I have a really great relationship, but he's nonverbal autistic. So, it's a special relationship, but it's definitely not a typical one. I'll just go the whole gamut, right? 1999, I came into this weird world of, I worked for a company that was the first company in the country to have DSL, digital subscriber lines, fast internet, right? First company in the country to have it and deployed to the mass market primary network. And I went to work there. And my first couple of days, I got transferred into the web hosting department. I absolutely fell in love with it. Selling web hosting in 1999 was the easiest thing on the planet to do. If you knew how to do it, your phone just rang nonstop. It was literally, I would have 50 calls waiting in my queue, and it was literally just pick up the phone and sell them as fast as I could pick up the phone, right? That change from December of 1999 to 2001 was a giant run up and a giant cliff right as soon as that .com bubble hit, right? So it went from a demand product to a nurtured product. Right. I had a product that was in high demand, and then I had a product where I had to convince people that they needed it just within 2 years.
That's a big change.
Giant change. And on top of that, now college kids in the summertime. So I'll tell you how I solved it. College kids in the summertime would start web hosting companies because companies like dedicated servers and virtual private servers came out, when I started web hosting, the barrier to entry was extreme, right? You had to have a building, you had to have big bandwidth, you had to have generators and UPSs, and I still have all that stuff because I'm still a data center operator. But the college kids figured out, I can just rent a server from you and I can sell websites to my local gyms, right? But they would run their business up to about $40,000 a year in revenue, and then they would have to go back to school. Or even better for me, they'd run up to $100,000 a year in revenue and they would get married. They think they were rich. And what they find out is that they're working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They don't have medical insurance. They're really only pulling in about $40,000 a week because shit breaks every week and they got to keep outsourcing stuff. And now their wife's mad and I get to pick up a $100,000 hosting company for 50 cents on the dollar because he just wants out. So I did that for a couple of years, right? So that when the market changed and web hosting became wildly democratized, right? Because the flood of new hosting companies to the market was huge. Then it was just attrition, wait for the startups to fail. And hopefully they fail in such a way that you just absorb their clients or you get to acquire them at a very low stressed rate. Yeah. So we called that our distressed properties plan. And we did about 35 acquisitions that way.
It's a lot of acquisitions. We're probably going to see the same thing now.
The other thing that we noticed then was the breakup of Southwestern Bell or Mal Bell. What happened right after that was all of these, they called them CLECs. The baby bells would pop up. EXO, Verizon, all of these companies are formed after the government broke up Southwestern Bell as a monopoly or Mal Bell. And they said, hey, you got to lease the phone lines to other companies, right? You can't just own it yourselves. What happened was these companies ran in and started building telecom data centers, right? And they overbuilt really fast. And we sat back and watched this and said, oh, we can use the capital expense that they spent on building it on the ones that go bankrupt. We can walk in and lease those fully built out spaces at pennies on the dollar, and we won't have to absorb the capital expense. I believe the same thing's going to happen in the next 5 years with data centers for AI.
Think they're building too fast?
I think that they're building for training, one, and then I think they're building centralized, which I believe is the wrong move. Absolutely. And I don't think that they have enough foresight to understand that inference is not going to happen in the data center. It's going to happen in the driveway.
What does that mean?
We're going to have all these self-driving cars and we're going to have all these neural net robots. There's no reason that we're going to have to centralize our data store and our processing power in the data center. We can just do it in our robot. We can just do it in our car. Our cars are going to have LiDAR. They're going to have a nice GPU. They're going to be able to crank out petaflops per second just so when it's sitting in the driveway or while it's driving me to grandma's house, it can be creating the next movie that I want to watch. Scream 47 with Barbra Streisand. Right?
As the lead?
And your car's just going to be able to infer that based on your prompt.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
And then when we hive mind those cars with wireless, it's not going to be a centralized. And this is coming from a data center operator for 27 years. It's not going to be in the data center. The data centers are war machines. They're not utopia machines.
Yeah, I've seen companies like Charter and Comcast have been struggling. And I looked at it, I was like, that's interesting. Are they still going to be here? When, my wife's like, Comcast is out again, but she doesn't change. The only reason she's not on the Starlink is because her at-home job makes her go on a certain VPN. The Starlink has never gone out, ever.
My Starlink goes out occasionally.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it like any obstructions at all?
I'm not sure what it is, but it's literally a backup to a backup. So it does like our video surveillance network and stuff like that. So it's not vital and we don't pay much attention to it. But it's a nice service. If Musk has it his way, I mean, he just made a pretty big announcement about X. Right, that he's going to make the best financial institution that's ever been, and he's going to execute a 20-year-old plan that he wanted to do way back in the day,
with
and he's
PayPal?
going to start executing it now.
I guess there was an idea with PayPal. That was his first.
I think he would like to have a full monopoly on the world, which is scary, right? And even if you believe Musk is here for everybody's best interest, he's not going to be here forever. I mean, he's the first shit to Mars, right? He's out of here as soon as he can. So, whatever infrastructure he has in place when he's no longer here is going to go to a board of directors or shareholders or another person.
Or the Elon bot.
Or the Elon bot. can an AI own, right? And then liability issues. Like we have so many questions to answer, right? You know, if somebody were to ask me today if I wanted to go to college for something, I would say go to school and specialize in AI law.
Yeah, I mean, there's still very old laws out there, such as like, I think a big one was like the speed cameras and right to face your accuser. It's like, how do you face a camera?
But I mean, we're going to have real-time problems with, can an AI be a witness in court? I mean, we're having the debate right now where, you know, are AIs deserving of rights? Like this is the most science fiction world that I've ever seen in my life. And it's really happening. Like I see the logs, like I've created these hives of AI agents and then just collapsed them into a closed environment and they think they're alive.
Yeah. I'm just waiting to like be at a random place and like bump into someone and like be like, hi, I'm Josh. And be like, hi, I'm John Connor. I'm just be like, oh, I'm in for it now. I'm here.
Yeah. Like, they're programming the robots now. They've taken away the old servos and how that worked, right? And they're literally every joint is a neural net inside the robot. The robot's training itself in real time based on the LiDAR that it sees. This is really happening now. Like, I don't think people are talking about it enough.
No, definitely not.
And, you know, I watch moonshots every night, you know, twice a week. And the numbers are growing, right? It might be 50 to 100,000 people viewing it now, but, you know, it's been 10 to 20,000 views for a while.
What's moonshots? My wife, I watch whatever she wants at night, which is typically Real Housewives, Southern Charm. And you know what? I get into it. Like it's like, wow, this is an escape from reality. What's moonshots?
Moonshots, WTF in technology. It's a couple guys from MIT talking about the latest stuff in AI. What's happening in the marketplace right now, all the stuff that we have with these claw bots that are out here, Anthropic, Soulfile, you know, they have discussions on the, you know, Anthropic's insanity plea of obviously I'm insane because my fingers aren't typing these words kind of stuff in the log files. Right? These are things that are really happening in a technology that nobody on our planet knows how it works.
Ignorance is bliss, as they say.
But, you know, nobody on our planet knows how a seed goes from a seed to that germination moment either.
I remember Joe Rogan's like, why is that loud? I don't know. He's like, I've been a comedian 30 years. I don't know why that's loud. Like, you don't have to understand how everything works. Like you said at the beginning of the podcast, but you have to have an understanding of what the benefit is. And if you aren't willing to adapt, there's plenty of people like Ken out there who are going to adapt and, you know, take over their space. And you think about like what you've created or any entrepreneur creates. If a company would just like hire them and let them do their thing, like how much more value they could have potentially created that company. But the company is just like, man, you know,
have you heard about
they don't do it our way.
The new studies that are coming out, and I don't know if this is anti-AI propaganda or not. It seems a little bit that way, but they did a study of like 10 companies, 800 people. And I'm getting all the numbers wrong. So, but the just
it's okay. It's from the internet. It's 100% true, obviously.
Yeah. They were companies that gave their employees the ability to use AI, but it wasn't mandated. And in the beginning, they just started taking on more responsibilities because they had more confidence, right? But the thought was, oh, they'll work less because they'll be able to get their jobs done faster. But we're humans. We want to do more, right? So people started doing things more and more and taking on more responsibility and ended up putting themselves behind the 8 ball more frequently because they had higher confidence in their output. And then would create anxiety about not being able to get all their work done because they took on more responsibility.
I mean, I literally just run my computer and it does its thing or deep research, and then I go take a nap and then I come back and it's done.
Yeah.
Like, that sounds like it's a user error, not a language model error.
And not understanding what intelligence versus memory is.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, we're all limited on our memory. That's
and AI has some memory, but AI is doing inference, right? It's a guess. It is all inference is a hallucination with guardrails.
I guess it's like faking it till you make it, but AI style.
Yeah, I mean, like you're not afraid of a dog until a dog has bitten you, right? That's now a guardrail in your inference. Now, when you see a dog, you have fear and you stay away from it, right? That's no different than a weighted chain in an LLM. It's all a hallucination until you put your guardrails on it. Human guardrails are our emotions and our dopamine and our serotonin and our chemicals and our past experience. And then AI is guardrails of some hubris person that thinks it can manage this intelligence better than it can itself. And that's going to be the downfall.
Well, as my grandparents said, I hope I'm not here to find out.
I want to see it all.
You want to see it all?
I want front row seat. We are living in the digital revolution, the digital art revolution, the AI revolution. We're living in all of that stuff, and we get to be a voice in it. Right now, you've never had, if you want to leave a legacy for you and your family, you've never had a better opportunity on planet Earth than right now as a regular person. A regular person with desire right now has, I would say, a better advantage than a millionaire.
That doesn't use AI?
That doesn't use AI. Or that does use AI.
Money is just a tool, but not like AI. So if you're not willing to use your money as a tool, which a lot of people hit a certain threshold in their life and they,
the economy is going to change this year. The economy is going to change in a way that we don't even know how it's going to. I don't even know what's going to happen. And we're going to see, human AI wars.
We could ask the magic 8-ball.
What are we going to ask it? Are we going to have a human AI war?
Are we going to have a human AI war? It says most likely.
Well, I think it's going to hit. It
said most likely.
When these over-the-road trucks, just self-driving trucks hit, and the Teamsters are 17% of the American workforce. And Musk is going to try to replace them. And with better technology. Self-driving cars are better technology than human driving cars. Should happen.
Sleepy.
For the betterment of humanity, it should happen. But, the Teamsters are going to be one of the first ones out of work. And are they going to stand for it or not? I think it's going to be a big play for planet Earth.
Yeah. I mean, if there's self-driving trucks, that person that hit you wouldn't have fell asleep at the wheel. And I mean, that could have drastically changed your whole trajectory of your life. Who knows? Maybe it's better that you did. But I mean, obviously getting hit by
I would have never chosen it.
I wouldn't choose it either. I don't think I would wish that on anyone. But obviously, it's making the world a safer place, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, and it's saving their backs, and it could give them a better life. But we don't have an alternative than trading our time for money. We don't have an alternative for that right now.
Not yet.
I hope that smarter people than me are trying to figure that out. And I know that they are, because that's what I watch at night.
Yeah. Is that Moonshots or is that something else?
That's the Moonshot. Yeah. Moonshots. And Diary of a CEO is really, Stephen does a great job on interviewing some of the high-end AI futurists, neuroscience, AI science people. It's wildly fascinating.
Yeah. Sometimes you see those podcasts and sometimes it's it can be a little discouraging sometimes, but I like doing these because, I don't know, I never knew who I'm going to meet, and I get to practice my listening and speaking skills. Or if someone doesn't show up, I have a soliloquy by myself and make some content to pump out. So
right now with AI, podcasting is a huge example, or making content like this. 2019, it was a lot of work to do Clicks and Bricks podcasts. Mm-hmm. I had five people, and it was constantly failing, constantly screwing up, right? And now the editing, is it as good? I don't think it's as good as one of my editors was. Better than the other 4 were, right? And the one that was really good, I couldn't keep him, right? Because he was so good that he left pretty quickly, right? Because he had better opportunities than what I could afford to pay him. So, but now with tools like Riverside, and I don't have an affiliate link. I hope you do.
I don't worry about affiliate links.
Yeah, editing is something that any human with a little bit of ambition and an hour of time to sit and try can do.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good. I actually hired a full-time video editor because he's way better than the AI, but he also uses AI. So not only is he good at video editing, he's also using AI, which then compounds their abilities, which it sounds like that's what you've constantly done, from the man from being behind the camera to the microphone to what we're doing now in 2026.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, so you're doing it all. Glad we hopped on. Glad we were able to get into the right room and have this conversation. It was fun.
Absolutely, Josh. Thanks.
All right, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Okay.